Thanks, listeners, for joining us for a holiday weekend. Today's program, Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation Educator Julie Gabrielson joins us as we're all patting our tummies. Hopefully everybody's had a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, no kidding. So the weather, we were just talking about that, not so typical for this time of year, but still a lot of people want to get outdoors. Probably the best advice, Julie, is just be prepared for changing weather.
Absolutely. We are getting our freezing temperatures now where we're really cooling down overnight, but during the day we're still kind of staying warm, it seems. And I don't know how long that's going to last, but I'm embracing it. I don't know about anybody else, but I am.
Yeah, definitely makes for some beautiful long walks. Just make sure you're prepared, dress in layers, that kind of thing. If you're venturing outdoors, cutting Christmas trees, firewood, that kind of thing, tell folks where you're going and just be ready.
Yeah, because some of those wetter areas, they might be frozen in the morning, but they might be soft by the time you come back out in the afternoon, causing potential stuckage and,
Yes.
issues on that. So just pay attention to where you're out there. And like you said, just be prepared. Have all the tools that you need with it and just be smart about it.
Thanks, Julie. Always a good start, of course, to our program, get things rolling. Something you've been working on a ton is we're getting ready for Elko Sportsman Expo.
It's going to be here before we know it. It is coming fast. I don't know about you, but November went by in truly a blink of an eye. And I feel like the next 3 months are going to be about the same. So the Elko Sportsman Expo, it is happening February 27th and 28th. We've made a couple changes to it. We backed it up a week this year, so it's happening in February instead of March. And we're going for 2 full days instead of a day and a half. Typically, we're a Saturday and partial Sunday. This year, we're going to be a full day Friday and a full day Saturday. It's free entrance to the public with the free youth activity room like always. But vendors, now is the time to get those booths. We still have some booths available and we would love to see you there. So it's going to be here anytime. Give us a call, 775-777-2305. We'd love to have you join us at the Elko Sportsman Expo.
Sounds great, Julie. Of course, there's always a variety. So, even if you're just curious if what you're offering would fit, give Julie a call.
Absolutely. Yep. We can walk through it. We do try to keep it outdoor related and sportsman's related. But that can be pretty broad at this point. So, by all means, give me a call and we'll see what we can do for the Elko Sportsman Expo with you. Again, that's February 27th and 28th, and that's at the Elko Conference Center.
Excellent. And we also have your educators out in classrooms helping teachers this time of year.
Yes, Nicole St. John does primarily our in-school programs as well as some other things, but she is starting to prepare for the 26 Trout in the Classroom program. Eggs are to be delivered into the participating classrooms in early February. So if you're interested in bringing that program into your classroom this year, give her a call. Her number is 775-777-2391. That's a great program. It's about a 5-week long program. It begins with getting those eyed eggs and it finishes with releasing what they've grown into out of one of the local approved waters.
So it's got a built-in field trip. Nice.
It does.
Yes, yes. So get on that wait list. Don't delay. And you have some new things coming up for spring, it looks like.
So we are scheduling some of the spring program with Know Your Nevada, the Trout in the Classroom, and she's got several other things that she can kind of customize too for some of the schools and some of the teachers, and depending on what they're looking for. So again, Nicole St. John, she can really, help dial in some of those things for your classrooms. We've also got the Elko Christmas Bird Count, and that's taking place Saturday, December 20th. You can reach out to Lois Ports at 753-2569 if you would like to participate in that. And what she'll do is she'll give you a route where you can go and you'll count the different birds that you see that morning in a certain time frame.
Fun. That makes a nice family outing too. A lot of people do this every single year. That's Christmas Bird Count. And then you also have openings for future events.
We are always looking for volunteers. We have volunteer instructors, and then we have just event volunteers as well. So our volunteer instructors, they're teaching the hunter education classes, the shooting sports classes, fly tying, fishing classes, things along those lines. And then we have volunteers where they come out and they help us pick sagebrush seed or plant seedlings or build guzzler projects, those types of things. So we've got multiple different options out there for all different age groups as well. To include the Elko Sportsman Expo, we use volunteers for the kids room. A big part of that is our volunteers. So if if you have any interest in working with us as a volunteer with the Department of Wildlife, you can call Nicole Hamlin at 775-777-2388.
Sounds great. And we have some exciting news about the results of wildlife research, which is pretty much year round, right, Julie?
It really is. They just are wrapping up their postseason deer flights. Well, actually, I should say they're just beginning the postseason deer flights. And they're seeing some really neat results with the fawn ratios. Areas 10, 12, 13, 14, and 15 were all completed last week. And other regional priorities, they're being done in the weeks to come. We've also got, like on our big game hunts, most of the deer hunts have wrapped up, with the exception of a few late season opportunities like the one in Area 8. Mini bull elk hunts are in full swing, with most areas offering late rifle bull hunts as well as even later antlerless hunts. And then our California bighorn hunts, those have concluded, as well as some of the earlier season desert bighorn hunts.
We're hearing some good things, hopefully, about the harvest.
We are seeing some good pictures and reports of some of the harvest, because they do, on the bighorn sheep, they do have to bring them back into us and check them in. So we are seeing some nice sheep being brought in. The bulk of the state's desert bighorn hunt actually doesn't start until 3 days ago, the 20th, 5 days ago. What day is today?
Exactly. It's like, we don't know. We've got turkeys.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that is just now starting to pick up, and that will go for another several weeks.
All right. Now we did talk about at the beginning of the program, this unseasonably warm weather, and we think it's probably good for species, but it doesn't always bode well for people who are out hunting.
It doesn't. And, with our upland game hunting chukar and Hungarian partridge, it's been a little tough with these warmer temperatures. It's hard on the dogs. It's hard on the birds. They're hard to find. And so we're thinking, we know that come later season, as we start getting some weather in there, the carryover of adults have been really good from last year. So the hunting should get better as well.
Okay, good to hear. So, and I heard great things about, and you may have this on your list, but that there was a youth pheasant hunt.
Yes.
Argenta,
yep.
right?
That was a couple weekends ago. We had our second annual youth pheasant hunt. It's a free event that we invite some kids to come and participate with us. We use a ton of volunteers, mentors, as well as staff. Our law enforcement group, they really come in and have a heavy participation in this as well. And it's such a great experience for these kids to come in. They go through some education stations as well as some shooting. They'll go in and get comfortable behind their shotgun at the trap range that we build for them. And then we take them out on planted birds. And that gets them some experience of, those birds jumping up in front of you, even knowing they're going to be right there, and preparing them for a wild bird hunt. And then we finish it all up with just that, a wild bird hunt. Some get lucky, some don't, because those wild birds can be harder to find, because it's hunting. And then we wrap it all up with a really nice group luncheon and a big thank you to all of our sponsors. And so that went over again the first weekend of November, and we will definitely plan to do that again next year.
Oh, good, Julie. Like I said, I heard great things about it. And of course, they got to hunt with dogs, some of them too. So
they do. And
super cool.
That's a big part of it is getting them that experience of working over a dog, because different dogs work differently between a pointer and a flusher. And so these young hunters need to know what to expect with the different types of hunting dogs out there as well.
Nice. That's just an example of some of the outreach and education that your Nevada Department of Wildlife does with our local conservation groups and volunteers. And then we have mountain lion hunting, which is underway.
It is, yep. I mean, mountain lion harvest, some things to remember with that is they must be sealed within 5 days of the harvest. So what that entails is you need to bring the unfrozen pelt in along with the unfrozen skull and the jaws propped open, because there are premolar teeth that we need to take out of the skull as part of that check-in process. And they use that for aging, using it as a DNA sample for aging, as well as some other things that they can see through that DNA sample. So it's really important when you bring those mountain lions in for check-in that they be unfrozen.
All right. You can always get details. If you're new to the sport, you can find them, I'm sure, online, or just give one of your biologists a call.
Or just call the front office even, and we can start walking you through it. And it's always good to call us anyways when you're coming in with something like that and make sure that we have somebody on hand, because sometimes our biologists and those that do the check-in are not always in the office. So we do try to have somebody in all the time, but occasionally they do get called out.
All right. Makes good sense. And then tell us about this recent pronghorn effort.
So a couple weeks ago, the department personnel, along with employees of the Confederated Tribes of the Colville Reservation from the state of Washington, as well as volunteers, we all trapped about and transplanted 100 pronghorn from units 141 and 155. This has actually been a multi-year process working with the tribe to reestablish a native species forum that had been extirpated from tribal lands, as well as the entirety of the state. And so this has been going really well. We've been hearing really positive reports. We're really excited that it's been doing so well with them up there.
Oh, Julie, that's great. And it's a good thing we had plenty to spare.
We did.
Yes,
we did.
We have healthy pronghorn populations, especially here in the high desert. It's really cool to see them. And if you get to see them running, that's amazing.
I know. And this is the time of year where they're grouped up quite a bit, so you can see really large groups of them and just really take it all in.
Yep. I kind of think they look prehistoric. I think they're super cool.
I just, for me, their eyes are the
Yes.
biggest thing for me. They just look so soft-eyed for being as kind of crazy of an animal as they are.
exactly.
They just have these really just beautiful soft eyes.
Aw. Julie Gabrielson is our guest today. She's our conservation educator with Nevada Department of Wildlife. She's got all the news about operations, kind of the paperwork, the things that you need to do in between the fun things.
Yes, there is paperwork. There's always paperwork. Harvest questionnaires can be completed at NDOWlicensing.com. Remember, these are due by January 31st, and you do have to complete them after if you've received a big game tag. Whether you were successful in that hunt or not, you do need to complete those. You just go into your account again at NDOWlicensing.com, look for the tab that says return cards or surveys, and then the survey needs to be completed. It will actually say pending on there. Once you complete that, it will say reported.
Okay, super easy. Get those things in online. And then boat decals are available already for the new year?
Boat decals are already, December 1st, so yeah, just a couple days. Yep.
Yeah.
So your 2026 boat decals, they are available. If you're set up for an auto renewal, that auto renewal actually takes place January 1st. So keep that in mind when it comes to your bank accounts and your credit cards, that will take place. If you aren't set up for auto renewal, it's easy enough to do online. But you can also get your decals online, or you can come into the office and pick them up as well.
Okay. And if there's a problem, make sure you let the Elko office know.
Yeah, if you don't get them by mid-February, you're going to want to let us know and make sure we can go in and kind of do some digging and make sure see what's happened with it.
All right. And then, of course, trapping is, this is trapping season or heading into it, obviously. And this is something NDOW can administer too.
Yep. And those licenses can be purchased online or in the office. However, that harvest questionnaire, that also applies to trapping, and it must be completed before you can get that license. If you didn't already do it, there's a good chance that you're going to have to pay that $50 fine before you can purchase your current license. You got to complete the expired survey from your account at NDOWlicensing.com and then pay the pending fine as part of that as well.
All right. Again, that website, NDOWlicensing.com, that applies to most of what we're talking about here today.
It really does. All of your licensing, that's where we go to put in for applications. Back in the spring when we're putting in for the big game applications, you can buy your fishing licenses there. So you can also find out about your education classes there. So hunter education, which will start picking up quite a bit in January and February for the spring. You'll be able to see all of that there as well.
All right. And then what about federal duck stamps, Julie?
Federal duck stamps, they're available at the Elko NDOW office, but we issue an electronic stamp, and it's good for about 45 days. The federal government's vendor will send you the physical stamp in the mail to place on your hunting license.
All right. And there's still great artwork on those, though. That's super cool.
They are.
Yeah, very nice. So then we switch into more into the field, and we see that law enforcement's been busy this year.
They have been really busy this year. Increased violations for loaded firearms in a vehicle. This regulation is really about your personal safety. We see accidents like this far too often. And what it really comes down to is you cannot have a round chambered into the firearm. You can have them in the magazine, but you cannot have it chambered while it's in a vehicle. That vehicle consists of ATVs, OHVs, your regular four-wheel drive pickup, or your Subaru driving down the road. I mean, it's any of those vehicles it does pertain to. So you do want to make sure that chamber is clear of any ammunition while you're in the vehicle.
All right. And then we understand law enforcement with NDOW has been getting reports about people feeding big game.
Feeding big game, it is a struggle, particularly deer in Spring Creek. It is illegal and it's detrimental to the animals as well. Feeding includes not only the intentional set out of food for them, but also salt and mineral blocks. Some people will put those mineral blocks out there thinking they're doing them a favor as well, but that is also considered intentional feeding and also illegal. So keep it all pulled out. We don't want you feeding those deer. They don't learn how to take care of themselves when somebody else is feeding them. They become very dependent on it, and that can create other issues for them as well as for you. So if you've got livestock and you've got feed that you need to take care of your livestock with, do everything that you can to keep the deer out of it, whether you cover it completely, you fence it off completely, barn it up, whatever you need to do, try to keep those deer out of it.
All right. Again, good advice. And if you have any questions about the deer in Spring Creek, it's always important to call NDOW first. And then speaking of calling, you can report information anonymously if there seems to be a concern.
Absolutely. Our Operation Game Thief, that phone number is 800-992-3030. It's not a bad idea to just program that into your phone so when you're out in the field, you're not having to search for it if you see something. We've also got the NDOW Tip app that can be downloaded to your phone. Some things to think about is if you see something out there, and we all come across something at some point or another when we're out playing around in the field, if it just looks just enough sketchy, make some notes about it, make a phone call. Some things to think about is don't ever approach the people in the field. Just watch from a distance. Take as much information as you can, vehicle color, make, model. A license plate is really helpful. Description of the people that you're seeing and whatever the violation is that you think is happening. And then give us a call. And again, you can do it anonymously or you can give your information. And sometimes having that extra information from you is really helpful. And then the wardens can also call you up for any additional that may have been missed or something in the initial report, but it's not necessary. You can do it anonymously. And we get a lot of cases that come to us this way. And it's really important that we're out there all just kind of paying attention and doing our due diligence.
Yeah, they can clear up the case, or sometimes it can lead to something big.
Absolutely.
So, thanks, Julie, for that reminder. And then we talked about earlier the Elko Christmas Bird Count, which is December 20th. But we can start looking at some of the really exciting big birds that we have out here.
Yeah, you're going to start seeing like our winter birds, like the big raptors. They're going to start showing up, the rough-legged hawks and the bald eagles. They're going to start coming into the area at this time. So if you've got bird feeders out, you might see more activity of them near bird feeders as well. Winter is a great time for watching the birds at your feeders, but also make sure you're keeping them clean and disinfected fairly frequently to reduce the opportunity for spreading any of the disease that might come with multiple birds coming into the feeder all at once. So lots of good things in the winter come through.
Yeah, lots of good things. And you might just be surprised. And if you need tips on feeding the birds, reach out to Lois Ports with the Bristlecone Audubon, Julie.
Yeah. And again, she's also your contact for the Christmas Bird Count if you want to participate in that on December 20th.
Perfect. And then the favorite topic of a lot of listeners saying, why did you wait so long to get to fishing, right?
Save the best for last, right?
Exactly.
Fall fishing and stocking for it is concluded. Low water at Wilson Reservoir is preventing use of the boat ramp for launching. Fisheries biologists installed 161 artificial fish habitat structures in Wilson Reservoir. Fisheries also and their volunteers are in the process of installing artificial habitat structures in South Fork, which should be finished up sometime in the next week. And then fall fishing for trout has been pretty good in all the area waters. Colder water temperatures have slowed the fishing for bass and other warm water fish, but the trout is definitely starting to pick up. It should remain pretty good until water temperatures drop into the low 40s.
Mm-hmm. And then it's far too early, but we will start talking about, again, ice fishing and safety, that kind of thing. But that usually doesn't roll around till in the new year.
Correct. Yeah. And it's been so warm right now that, we haven't had, I've seen a little layer of just very thin ice on some waters that I've been near, but none of the big waters. It's always just been like little ponds in the roadways or something like that I've seen them. So at this point, it might be a little bit before we start seeing any ice, which is probably a good reminder right there that if you are starting to see any ice, I guarantee it's unsafe right now.
Yeah, definitely. You know, use this opportunity to extend your fall fishing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's always fishing is 24/7 pretty much Nevada.
It can
365.
be.
Yeah.
Yep.
For those of you. So then we want to talk a little about some of the habitats, the issues that NDOW biologists and all the other scientists and folks, and sometimes from throughout the state, they help because we have so many resources out here in northeastern Nevada.
We do. We've got a lot out here. And our habitat staff, they have been really busy the last couple years with herbicide applications and other seeding projects that they've been working on. And fortunately, they've concluded a lot of the aerial herbicide applications for the fall, and they'll begin seeding operations in December. They've also seen an uptick in mineral exploration activities, and they continue to interact on all those exploration and mining projects as well. So they've got a lot on their plate from one end to another, and they just keep busy, and they're just doing out there doing good things for the habitat and the resource.
And they're so important in informing some of these exploration activities, Julie, about the migration corridors. You know, there might already be impacts from wildfire in areas that are seeded. You know, there are just so many considerations.
There are, and it's really a good thing for you as the public to stay involved in and aware of, because we have a say over a lot of these public land areas that are being impacted by this. So pay attention to what's being proposed and you know, suggested for being out there, and make your voice heard.
Yeah, there are lots of ways to do that. We have a local advisory commission for the Nevada Commission on Wildlife, which is the volunteer board, you know, the statewide, but they're informed by local advisory boards. We have one here in Elko County.
We do.
Yes,
Yep.
So a good way to stay on top of those issues. And then we talked a little bit about it, obviously, about no feeding the deer, especially in Spring Creek and the Moyle, you know, proper storage. But then there are some other considerations with scavengers.
There are, and you know, and going back real quick to the feeding of the deer, when you have deer being fed in residential populations, and going back into some of those other things that can create problems for, you know, vehicle collisions with scavengers increase just as much as with deer in the wintertime, because we are drawing them into these public areas and these residential areas, putting them more at risk of those vehicles. Nighttime hours are way earlier in the day, early morning. I mean, and those are the times that they're out when we're actually actively commuting for the most part. So we see more of those collisions at this time of year. Rabbits and other prey, they end up concentrating on the roadways. Raptors, particularly the golden eagles and other scavengers, and they eat that roadkill. And it can be a really bad day for not just the wildlife, but for the drivers as well. So slow down, pay attention, especially at dark and at dusk. Those times are really critical for the wildlife movement as well as for our movement in a traditional workday anyways.
I did see a social media post where a highway patrol officer was able to rescue an owl that got stuck in the grill of a vehicle. And it was, you know, it was able to, they were able to rehabilitate, to recuperate it. But
we've seen some crazy things. I believe it was a red-tailed hawk several years ago got caught in the roof rack of a vehicle,
yeah.
and it was fine. It survived.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just took a little hitchhike. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's wild. I saw this just the other day. It happened to me where I was just driving along, and it happened so fast, but I was sure it was a hawk that just kind of came so close to my vehicle, and then, you know, obviously swooped up into the, and I thought, wow, you don't expect to see them like that.
You don't, yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a fun encounter, but you're so happy that there was no collision. So,
yes.
Yeah, definitely. And then look at this amazing opportunity. This is the new Nevada Wild program in which Nevada Department of Wildlife has a huge role.
We are Nevada Wild.
We are. This is our show.
Yeah. So Nevada Wild is a new TV show. It shows on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Animal Planet. Eventually, full episodes are going to be seen on the Game Warden channel as well. But for right now, we're on Animal Planet. It really highlights the incredible work of the Nevada Department of Wildlife across the state. We're in our first season. It includes 10 episodes, and it features everything from bighorn sheep captures, moose collaring, game warden rescues, biologists monitoring bat populations in caves, several ride-alongs with law enforcement as well. And so it's really been a cool experience to be a part of. This actually started pre-pandemic. And so it kind of took a little bit of a nap for a couple of years until we could get things back together. And we've been back in full swing for probably a year or 2 years now. And it's really been exciting. The show is actually funded and produced by Angle Entertainment, not by NDOW. This is the same production company behind Lone Star Law and Northwoods Law. And NDOW, we really encouraged Angle Entertainment to go beyond just the law enforcement side and stories of the department and really showcase the full range of conservation work being done by our biologists, technicians, and all of our staff. So it's really been a neat experience.
Wow, it sounds great. Again, we know that hunting, exploring, recreating, anything associated with the outdoors, Julie, it just generates so much interest, enthusiasm, conservation, and stimulates the economy.
It really does. And you know, we don't profit from this show. And again, we aren't funding this show, but it really is a great way to truly show what Nevada has to offer and what the department really does out there for the resource and the wildlife.
All right. So if you want to catch Nevada Wild, in the wild, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on Animal Planet.
Yes.
Yes. So cool. And then I'm sure you could probably find them online. Maybe else. I know NDOW has a YouTube channel. So.
We do have a YouTube channel. It does not show any of the episodes. Those are strictly to Animal Planet at this point. But yes, we do have a YouTube channel that shows lots of other cool things on there that kind of all roll into Nevada Wild.
Absolutely. So this is a great opportunity again. It sounds totally family friendly, Julie. And like you said, just the fact that it's going beyond the challenges and maybe the distressing stories to the really, really great things that are happening with the effort of volunteers, conservation folks, and our wardens and biologists.
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
It's going to be a neat run. We're excited to see how it goes.
All right. So Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on Animal Planet. Look for Nevada Wild. Not to be confused with Wild Nevada, which is also a cool show, which is on PBS.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's about exploring and getting out in the backcountry and doing it responsibly.
It is.
Everything that NDOW does has a conservation message. It's all about good conduct and sportsmanlike conduct, Julie. It's about safety, all of these really important aspects of enjoying and being responsible for the backcountry.
It is. It really comes down to doing what's right when nobody's watching when you're out there. Having those really solid ethics out there and really taking care of that resource and our wildlife and making sure that it's still there for future generations to enjoy it equally. It's really all about that when we're out there.
Well, you're the perfect person to relay that message for us, Julie. Thank you so much for everything you bring to the agency and, of course, to this radio show that you do for us at least once a month.
Well, thanks for having us in.
Yeah. Julie Gabrielson is our Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation Educator. Thanks so much for joining us today, listeners. We appreciate your time.